My name is Shannon Beatty, and this is my final presentation for the Spring 2015 Marketing Management course. I opted to complete the MarkStrat project individually. While my company did not perform well overall, I was able to achieve some of my goals, and I gained a better appreciation for marketing concepts along the way. In order to share my observations in a thoughtful manner, here is an agenda of the topics I will be covering. First, I will discuss my company's result in the MarkStrat world, and then I will share the lessons learned from my participation in this project. I will conclude with how the simulation allowed me to apply the marketing concepts addressed in this course. The Leo company operated in the Berlin industry. Leo's stock price initially experienced 27% growth to $1,270. This growth was followed by a declining trend, with Leo's stock price falling to end at $693. Overall, the stock price suffered a disappointing 45% decline. Similarly, Leo Company initially ranked third in the Berlin industry, later declining to the fourth position and remaining in fourth through the remainder of the project. Over the course of the project, Leo Company supported up to 4 brands in 5 different market segments. The original 2 brands were Loop and Lock. Loop was the stellar performer, starting with nearly 23% market share in the professional segment, with a goal of attaining 25% market share. Loop exceeded expectations and grew to achieve 29% market share in the professional segment. While becoming the second popular brand in the professional segment, Loop was also popular in the Explorer segment, achieving the top spot in this segment by the end of the project. The Explorer segment was the smallest and had a negative growth outlook. Therefore, the Leo Company did not actively pursue this segment. Lock faced increasing competition in the Savers segment. Competing against 3 other brands, Lock suffered declining market share and was withdrawn in period 3. Leo Company requested and was granted a $5 million loan in period 2, with funds used to develop 2 additional brands, Lots and Loot. Lots was launched in period 3, and Loot was launched in period 4. Loot faced deep competition in the high earners segment, was unable to achieve market share above 10%, and was withdrawn in period 7. Lots completed in the shopper segment, also facing stiff competition. While Lots is deemed an underperformer for not achieving the goal of 25% market share, this brand was starting to show signs of improvement in the final period of the project. Now let's look at the lessons learned by the Leo Company. Starting with Leo's keys to success means focusing on the Loop brand, which demonstrated positive performance overall. 4 research and development projects modified the Loop brand. These modifications targeted the professional segment's ideal values for brand attributes and also achieved the desired brand perceptions. The Leo Company used the perceptual maps to measure the success of these modifications. The Loop brand maintained positioning near the professional's ideal. Leo Company also monitored the financial performance of Loop, which maintained positive earnings throughout the project. Loop's positive earnings consistently helped to mitigate the losses experienced by Leo Company's other less successful brands. Production decisions contributed to Loop's success, despite several instances of stockout. When deciding how many units of Loop to produce, the Leo Company anticipated continued growth in the professionals segment. Shortfalls that led to stockouts most likely resulted from the unanticipated popularity in the Explorers market, which favored Loop in later periods. Additionally, both the advertising media and research budgets bolstered the Loop brand. While the media budget achieved brand awareness above 70% by the end of the project, the research budget only rendered an average message in the end. Although there were periods when the advertising budgets underperformed, Loop's market share remained on an increasing trend overall. Finally, even though amounts allocated to the commercial team were initially below desired levels, eventually the proper distribution channels were established. By consistently making commercial team decisions last, available funds were often too scarce to allocate appropriately. In the later periods, Leo Company ensured proper funding for a sufficient, well-balanced team. Leo Company ultimately achieved its goal to attain a competitive presence in the marketplace. Now let's look at what could have been done differently. In other words, what would Leo Company like to do over? Leo Company could have better planned for the loan, including the loan amount. Approximately $3 million of the loan proceeds were allocated to R&D projects for 2 new brands, increased advertising and commercial team expansions, leaving $2 million unused. Later periods were unable to maintain increased advertising budgets, expanded commercial teams, and loan payments. Leo Company cut back on advertising and commercial teams, then slowly had to catch back up, while competitors were able to achieve and maintain robust advertising budgets and commercial teams. In hindsight, a smaller loan should have been requested and only 1 new brand developed, which would have left sufficient funds available to build advertising and distribution channels with a sustainable commercial team. With larger advertising budgets and commercial teams, both Loop and Lots would have experienced better brand awareness, better message quality, appropriate distribution channels, and ultimately increased market share. Leo Company did not give significant consideration to consumers' purchase intentions until the later periods. If this market research data had been considered earlier, the insufficient advertising may have been corrected even sooner. While Loop ultimately achieved 30% consumer purchase intentions in the professional segments and 17% in the Explorers segment, Lots commercial purchase intentions did not gain any traction until the final period when 8% among shoppers was achieved. Finally, the Leo Company also faced stockouts, which meant consumers that were unable to purchase Leo brands likely purchased a competitor's brand. For Loop, better production decisions and less stockouts would have resulted in market share surpassing the initial goal of 25% more quickly and achieving the stretch goal of 35%. Similarly, Lots would have been able to accelerate market share increases in the last period if a stockout had been avoided. The MarkStrat simulation allowed the class to apply the marketing concepts addressed earlier in this course. In discussing how the Leo Company applies these concepts, the focus will be on the 2 brands that existed at the end of the simulation, Loop and Lots. Beginning with segmentation and targeting, the simulation enabled students to work with the concepts discussed in Chapter 7 of the text. The simulation used behavioral segmentation to distinguish the customer segments. The descriptions for these segments identified the needs and purchasing behavior of the customers.
Hi.
This approach demonstrates.
We're sorry we can't get to the phone right now, but please leave your name, number, and message after the tone. Thank you.
It's just unplugging it, I'll unplug it.
Answer.
Calls will not be answered.
Just hide this somewhere.
It's out in the kitchen is fine enough. The ringing I didn't mind. I thought you were gonna pick it up and I didn't realize you weren't there. Thank you.